Thank you for joining our webinar. Today we'll be focusing on maximizing accuracy with our newest EmployerConnect enhancement, file parsing. This is a function that effectively reads your upload and helps to catch errors relating to employee information, status updates, and contributory hours in real time. We'll be showing you how file parsing works in a video demonstration which features some of the most common errors that we see and that file parsing identifies. It's a bit of a learning curve, but over time, your employee lists will be cleaner and your pay period reports will be more accurate. So let's begin. We'll start by reviewing our agenda. We'll be covering quite a bit today, so if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A box on your screen. At the end of the recorded part of the presentation, Gary and Kuljit from our contributions team will be here to answer them for you. If you're an employer with 10 employees or less, we recommend you key in your hours as usual. This is still the most expedient way for you to report your employees' hours and statuses, and file parsing will not be part of your workflow. If you're a larger employer who uploads a CSV file or files generated by your payroll system, file parsing was developed to help identify issues, to help clean up data, and standardize the information you'll be sending to the plan office so it's consistent and complete. When you're a larger employer reporting hours and employee status changes, you need to upload your employee information. You have a couple of choices. You can upload a pre-populated CSV file, or you can provide your own file. If you upload a CSV file from EmployerConnect, all mandatory columns are included and configured properly, and your employee information will be pre-populated. This means if nothing has changed since your last report, you won't have to enter names, employee types, work statuses, and start dates. If you work for a larger company, uploading a payroll file generated by your payroll system to EmployerConnect is likely the most convenient way to report your employees' hours and statuses. When you upload your own file, there's a little more to keep in mind. You will be required to include mandatory fields, which are listed in a later slide. Information from your previous pay period won't be pre-populated, so you will need to enter missing information and dates. Finally, you will need to match columns that have different names so they align with EmployerConnect. Here are the mandatory fields you'll need to include. If your column names are different, file parsing requires that you match them to EmployerConnect. We'll show you this and more in the following video demonstration.
File parsing is the best option for companies with many employees who upload their own payroll file. It was developed to help clean up the data provided in these large files and catch errors. So if you're an employer with 10 employees or less, keying in your hours is still the recommended method of reporting. In this video demonstration, we'll show you how to use file parsing. This will result in less follow-up from the plan office as well as smoother audits. So here we go. When you're in your EmployerConnect account, select Billing Statement. Here we can see all pay periods starting with the most recent ones. The statement you select must have an open status. Remember, you must work on each pay period in order of date. This means if a previous pay period is still open, you must work on it first. If you don't, you will see an error message prompting you to complete it. So, to start, find the statement period you'll be reporting on and click the down arrow. Next, click the Export Hours to CSV File button. Now we're going to open our file. And we just need to change the background color here so you can see our cursor. Second. All right. So most employers are using the CSV template already. However, there's many employers who want to upload their own payroll files, and it's these employers who file parsing really benefits. So for demonstration purposes, you can see we have a very condensed employee list. Most employers will have more employees than this. This is the preferred method because it downloads your CSV file with pre-populated information. If there were status changes in the previous pay period, they would be carried over and you would see them here. And here is where you would enter the hours worked. But for time efficiency, we won't demonstrate this process here. We'll simply assume it's done and we will save it. So our next step will be uploading our employee file. Here's how you upload a file, a CSV file or your own payroll file. After our data is entered, we can upload our spreadsheet. So we do this by clicking Upload TA. We go to the bottom of the page and we select a file. And we locate the file we just downloaded, or you can select your own file. Now, if you accidentally select the wrong file, just scroll to the bottom and click Remove All, and this will remove the incorrect file you just uploaded. Now we can go back down and select the correct file and click Open. So here you can see the hours and statuses entered along with the pre-populated employee information. Again, this could be from your recently uploaded CSV file or your own payroll spreadsheet, which includes mandatory columns. So we're going to scroll to the bottom and click Next. So if you use the preferred method of uploading the CSV file, all of the columns will match. If you chose to make your own spreadsheet, you will need to match your file to include the mandatory columns. So we're going to do this here. As you can see, these columns with a green icon are correct and they match. But as we move down, this one is not a match and it says that no values are aligned. The problem here in this column is that it says last name, which doesn't align with EmployerConnect. So we go down into the drop-down menu and select the column title that does match, which is surname. And we'll move down and fix the next one, which says first name, but it needs to say given name instead. So now both of these columns match. If you've included extra columns that are not required by EmployerConnect, which you can see here, you can simply delete them by clicking the X, and the system will ignore these columns. So if you're an employer who needs to keep additional information in your payroll upload, it's beneficial to be able to simply ignore these additional columns, knowing that they won't interfere with file parsing. So now we're going to scroll down to check all of the other columns, which are all correct. So we're going to click Next. And now we'll move on to verifying our employee information. When we verify employee information, it shows any new employees you may have added but who aren't officially in the system yet. This happens when a new employee is added to the spreadsheet, but they're not properly enrolled in EmployerConnect. This is helpful for your employees because it allows the plan office to connect with them right away about their benefits, and it helps you. For example, having the correct age helps to prevent common reporting errors like submitting LTD hours and contributions after a member has aged out of the plan. So we'll click Verify Employee Information to see if there's any new employees. And this is where you'll see if a new employee is detected. An enrollment card will pop up and you'll need to enter all the mandatory fields in order to move on. If there's no new employees found, all you have to do is click Next, which we'll do here. So now we need to validate our data. You can see that we have some errors that we intentionally entered into our spreadsheet. And these are some of the most common errors that we see. The system has flagged the errors in red, and you can also see some yellow warnings, but we'll deal with the red ones first as they need to be corrected before moving on. Our first error is showing because our LTD hours exceeded the pension hours. All hours that are reportable to LTD are reportable to pension and they cannot exceed. Sometimes employers do this because LTD hours were missed in previous pay periods. This is the kind of error that can show up on an audit, so reporting it in the correct pay period helps to make your audits go smoother. If this error comes up for you, you need to contact us to let us know why there were extra hours, what pay period they were for, and we'll make the adjustment for you. But for now, this number needs to change to match the pension hours, which we'll do here. So the next error is a layoff. When we hover over the radio button, it tells us we need to enter valid dates, which need to be within the pay period. So we'll do this now. So doing this benefits your employee because it registers unfunded pension credits. And you can find more on this in your status update reporting guide. All right, so next we have an employee with negative hours. If this was done because you're trying to correct a previous pay period, you need to contact the plan office and we'll make this adjustment for you. Again, this is the kind of error that would show up in an audit, and it would also negatively impact your employee's credited service. So for this pay period, this can't be negative. If we were an employer, we would contact the contributions team as mentioned, and we would set the hours to 0 in order to move forward. So moving along, when we hover over the radio button for this next error, it shows that the member is over 59.5 and LTD hours were reported for them, which is not correct. This needs to be changed to 0 because anyone over 59.5 no longer contributes to the LTD plan. This works to benefit you and your employee because it will prevent overpayment to the plan. And you can find out more about this and other rules in your contributory hours reporting guide. So finally, this employee is terminated, so we'll put in the start date, which is the date of their termination. Doing this can really clean up your employee list to help eliminate warnings for future reports. So now that all of our red errors have been completed, we can move along to the next step. So we'll get to work on the yellow warnings. The employees here are shown as having an active status, but no hours, and they may have had a status change. So we're going to fix a couple of statuses. We'll change this status to layoff, and we'll put in a start and end date that matches the pay period that we're currently working on. If this layoff is ongoing, you'll be reporting this every pay period and will need to enter start and end dates that match the pay period you're reporting. So our next one is a termination. So we'll select terminated, and we need to put in the start date, which is the date of their termination. For our last warnings, we're going to say that we're not aware of a status change for these employees. We know this happens sometimes, and we know you need to move forward with your pay period. So in this instance, while you're waiting for information about their status, you have a couple of choices. You can bypass these warnings by clicking Next, or you can discard the rows. Both methods will allow you to move forward with your report. It's important to remember when you do get this information, you'll need to go into your account and enter their employee status in Employee List. This is the only way you can update a status after the pay period has been posted. So, if you'd like to discard the rows, you can do so by clicking these boxes, going to the bottom of the screen and click Discard Selected Rows. You then click Next. The system will then need to know that we're sure about discarding these rows. If you made an error and discarded a row, now is your chance to correct this. You can do this by selecting your row and clicking Restore Discarded Data. If you're okay with discarding your rows, click Continue Without Restoring. And we move on to the next step. So when you're in the summary page, you have two tabs at the top. In the first, you'll see a summary of this pay period, the billing statement number, start and end dates, processed and discarded rows, total pension and LTD hours, and total contributions due for the plans. In the second tab, you can see any changes you made to the original uploaded file, how many revised hours there were, and the total hours that were discarded. And finally, at the bottom, you'll see the initial uploaded hours and the final hours reported for pension and LTD. And if you're satisfied with all of this, you can click Confirm. So these hours will get posted, and you'll see the messages at the bottom of your screen, bottom left side. And when we close this up and go into billing statement, you can see now that the pay period is closed. So we'll just wait for that to load here. There you can see it's closed. You can also download your statement summary and make your payment. Now, if you're not set up for pre-authorized debit payments, this Make a Payment button won't show up. But we do recommend our PAD function, or pre-authorized debit, and it's recommended because it simplifies your payment process. You get to control when your payments are made. Electronic transfers are processed faster than issuing a check, and you eliminate the cost of EFT or writing checks and mailing them. And when your contributions are paid on time, your employee's credited service remains current and up to date, and you avoid incurring interest payments due to late contributions. So reach out to us if you don't have this, and we'll be happy to help you set it up. And we just thank you for viewing this demonstration. And if you have any questions at all, contact our contributions team. Thank you.
We know it can take time to get used to new systems, and our account managers are here to help. When you call in, you will likely speak with Kaljit and Carolina, who are here to help answer any questions you may have about the system or about reporting rules. In a moment, we'll move on to our live Q&A with Gary, our manager of contributions, and Kaljit, one of our account managers. We do our best to provide accurate information, but not every rule or situation is covered. This presentation is not a substitute for the plan text, which is available by contacting the plan office. If there are any inconsistencies between this presentation and the plan text will always govern. And now on to our Q&A. If you have questions and you haven't done so already, please type them into the Q&A field on your screen. If your questions are specific to your account, we'll give you a call following this Q&A session.